And we're live with the Meta Lab the week of April 16th. I'm Jay, and with me is our rotating guest host, Pedro.
Hello, everybody.
And we finally have our regular main co-host back. It's Mike White.
Hey, everybody. Missed you guys.
And we have stuff to look at. We have a whole bunch of previews. They are really laying them on for the Avengers Infinity set. We also had Scott Porter unboxing start today, although nothing super competitively notable, unfortunately. But we did see some cool stuff, like the generic Doom Buggy looks silly and fun with its horn blasting special power that just makes attack values go down. But we're going to look at those more when the full set is confirmed, because it's kind of hard to tell all the fine details from the videos. So we're actually going to do the official previews, and hopefully screen share works with me with this one. Application window. If something doesn't go wrong, it'll be very annoying. But we have Devil Dinosaur and Moon. Is this working?
Yes.
Okay.
At least for me.
Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy. One of our 2x2s. So they have the Fallen Angels, Savage Land, Animal. Is that Brute? It's hard to tell. I think Brute and past keywords.
Yeah.
Past is decent now. Lots of good JSA stuff. Brute's okay. Animal looks to be getting a little better. Savage Land, Fallen Angels, not as much. And then they have a trait, Moon Boy, which is free. Make a range attack with a range value of 4. An attack value of 9, and a damage value of 1. And these values can't be replaced or modified. So it's just a little free attack. Kind of reminds me of the old laser turret where you just get a really bad values free attack. It never hurts. And it's a colossal, so I can see. And also has improved movement, ignores characters, and it's a rare. It gets a special power in the middle of the dial, basically on all of its starting lines. Thunder Lizard, which gives charge and sidestep when Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy damage one or more opposing characters with a close attack. After resolutions, remove an action token from Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy. So really good swing with their charge, sidestep, ignores characters to, I guess, break away from other colossals now. Giant Reach 3, so they can really get in there if they need to. And then never get a token, theoretically. I think it's okay. Looks very fun for casual. It's a big dinosaur. But I think competitively, you're probably going to want to stick with the champion-made Next Wave Devil Dinosaur that is not a big fan of Moon Boy, but that is, we have other people. Oh, God, no. Pedro, how do you feel?
Oh, my God, Infinite Mies. That's a disgrace. I agree with you. I think, like you said, it's fun, casual, but, it's a lot of points for each starting line. Your special power only comes after a hit for 2. Low numbers, easy reducers. If you try to play him at 75, he'll likely be one shot. So, and the extra attack trait, it's fun but not very useful in competitive. So I would have to go casual there and fun. But that's as far as I can go.
Mike?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to echo what both of you said. If that special power had been maybe on any of those starting lines, it probably would have affected how much I might have played him based on the points, especially the 75-point version. If that one actually started with that special power, I could see him getting a little more play, but he's totally just a fun, interesting version. And yeah, if you're going to play a Devil Dinosaur, 100%, you're going with the champion-made one.
Yep.
Okay.
Less is more.
Yeah, less is more for sure.
Yeah, I mean, all those point values are technically playable and competitive, 300 whatever, but it's not going to happen, I don't think, at least right now. But you never know. We have from the same set of previews Cosmo, and unfortunately, I'm sorry about the resolution here, but that is what we had to work with from the source. So he has the Annihilators keyword, Guardians of the Galaxy, Animal, Cosmic. All those keywords are pretty decent. Annihilators is shared with Beta Ray Bill, same as Cosmic, so you can get some good options there. We're getting a bunch of Guardians in this set, and we still have some of the movie ones and whatnot. Animal, pretty decent, so you never know. It's a super rare. Nice little sculpt there. I mean, it is just a dog in a spacesuit, but the little effect there does help with how cool it looks. It has improved targeting hindering, which makes sense. It's a pretty cool effect to give a telepathic kind of character. It has a trait that we've seen on this Cosmo, as well as the the common rocket raccoon that Scott Porter showed. So it's a shared trait among the Guardians, because a lot of the Guardians in the set are first appearance kind of things, original costumes. So it reads, if Cosmo is part of a Guardians of the Galaxy theme team, he has protected out with this game. Otherwise, he modifies his attack and defense +1 this game. So if you're playing him in Guardians of the Galaxy constructed, themed, whatever, it's, he doesn't have like powers that are super critical defensively, but still being able to protect his own outwit, his special powers, which are pretty good and whatnot, is pretty decent. And if you're just playing him in sealed, a top dial 19 defense and 11 attack are just good. I mean, the lowest attack he has printed is a 10, so it becomes an 11 at the very least. He also starts off and has this movement special power for most of his dial, which is mind control, and when he uses it to target more than one character, modify attack +1. So 2 targets in conjunction with his trait. It could be a 12 attack starting, which I think is really good. And then he has a damage power that he pushes onto, which is free action. Choose an opposing character within range. Until your next turn, that character can't be given power actions. ID cards are kind of good, right, guys?
I would say so, yeah. There's a couple.
I think they're okay. I mean, there are other things that are power actions, but primarily you want to be wary of your opponent using ID cards. What do you think about Cosmo, Mike?
Well, I mean, I'm immediately a little biased because 1, I love dogs, and 2, I love Cosmo. I love this character. It's one of those characters that I've always enjoyed, and I was very happy to see when he came along in the Guardians of the Galaxy series multiple times. They keep bringing him back. I love the trait. I think we're going to see. I'm actually really excited to see all the other Guardian dials. As you mentioned, we got to see the rocket in Scott's preview today, but I'm really excited to see what we get with Star-Lord and Gamora and Drax with them having that trait as an option to them. Especially because, I mean, like you mentioned, this guy's basically rolling with 11 attack, 19 defense all the time, unless he's on a Guardians team. That's not bad for a 70-point figure. I think it helps him maybe be more effective as your sort of supporting piece, because he's maybe a little bit harder to one-hit take out with a 19 defense. At 70 points, though, I don't know if he's really what he has on his dial is something that you need to bring to your team with those points, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? If you got a TK outwitter, I think we can come up with some figures who are less points than that and more useful. Right away off the top of my head, I think of the Chase Jean Grey at her lower point value, just because that free 3 TK thing. But anyway, really, I like Cosmo. I think he's an interesting figure. I think he has some potential, and definitely I will be playing him in some theme teams, on some animal theme teams. I'm excited for that. He and King Shark are going to get along real nice.
Pedro?
I like him very much. I think he's a little bit costed, but you can, with some finesse, you can take a lot out of it. I think that you have an option to push him to click 2 and have it be extremely complicated to teams that are tentpole, are going more focus on one guy. Less effective against POG teams, but again, still very useful, especially if when I have a Devil Diner or someone that generate POGs, but it's a decent calling battery. I think that I'm really hoping that this embedded Guardians of the Galaxy ATA, which now we know it's in their trait, allows you to do a team with him, because I think that having the powers from click 2 to 4 being unoutwittable can go a long way into harming your opponent and breaking his tempo. So I think that he's good all around, and even better if you can make a Guardian of the Galaxy team. It's a little bit costly, but every dial of his, in my humble opinion, is useful. And there's even an ink cap there if you need to kill a lockjaw or whatever, some other crazy stuff there. So you're never afraid of landing in a bad click, unless of course you're on his last click far away from your opponent, but then it's probably on you for not playing him right. So I like him a lot.
Yeah, I'm not. I feel like it's going to be like almost like a B tier piece. Like he's not like automatic on every team, but I think he will have his uses. I can definitely see myself trying some stuff with him. Although it's kind of weird that he's like, you can definitely tell from the preview that he's like a much smaller sculpt, but he's still normal sized.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't make him tiny.
Yeah, like Ace is tiny and is very similarly scaled, so that's going to be a little confusing. Like I remember playing the old one where I would just assume I could tiny carry him because of the sculpt, but then I was like, oh wait, he's not actually tiny. So that could be a cool thing to play around with against your opponent where they think he's smaller, theoretically. Last preview from this bunch is the Chase Tygra. So the half Eternity, half Tygra, whatnot, with the Animal Avengers Cosmic keywords, Power Cosmic Team Ability, has the Cosmic Entity trait that we've seen on a bunch of other characters, which is Tygra can't be the target of an attack with more than one target. So that's theoretically just useful. I mean, I'm sure that there are going to be a fair amount of characters with more than one target considering the power level of this set theoretically. And she has a similar trait to the other chases, which is Flurry. And then once per turn, when her attack roll has a 3 in it, after resolutions, friendly characters can use Charge and Blades this turn. And she has the same stop click with Mastermind as the rest of the chases. Otherwise, the dial is phasing, Blades, Super Senses, a bunch of Empower, 50 points. I think she's decent enough. The only problem is, like, she's so soft defensively. Like, the 18 Super Senses is decent for the points. Power Cosmic is good, but without any move, like the rest of the chases, without any move and attack, she's just not attacking, really. And then the fact that you're not actually going to use Mastermind with her because she's already so low points. Like, what are you? You need to have a lot of pogs to want to throw something else under the bus over her, or something with an activation click or something weird. I don't really see myself playing her. And it's just too bad that her ID card retires like a week after she comes out, because that's a really good call in. But as far as a main force piece, I'm not seeing it. But Pedro, what do you think?
The first thing I thought when I saw this figure was, great, another girl to date the Fast Forces Penguin. Put her and Harley beside him. Try to give the Harley Pog some blades. Try to have one extra chance of attacking the Penguin every round to give your guys blades. I agree with you. But again, it's a one shot every round to make one attack and hope for the 3. Might be a little too much of 50 points to get there. But I think he has survivability. 18 Super Sense is not that bad. They're not going to be outwitted, by any conventional means. She has top Mastermind, so in a POG team, just leave a few there and make your opponent's life more complicated to get you out of it. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. Again, like you said, it's going to be for a very niche team. I think the Fast Forces Penguin helps a lot if you're going to go there. But otherwise, it would be amazing to have Rosa Collin, but not going to happen, at least for maybe a few days.
Mike?
Yeah, I very much agree with what Pedro said on that. I think so far, when you look at these Virtue of Life traits, she, with her point value, is sort of the most likely to get to be on a team and utilize that, if that makes sense, because she's only 50 points and you could sort of fill her in a little more. I think she has a little bit of potential there because of the point value of her and because of Avengers and Animal as keywords on her. I think there's a lot more potential to be able to find teams to fill her in on. And as Pedro mentioned, I think there's something to be said for her on a team with a lot of pogs being generated. I was wondering off the top of my head if what's his name, Tyrannus. He doesn't have cosmic, does he?
No.
Okay, good thing, because that would be a lot of fun if all of a sudden all of his little Tyrannoids had charged blades on them to go with that sort of annoying plasticity thing of theirs. But I think there's something to be said there. I think there. At least with the 50 points, there is a way to potentially get her onto a team and utilize some of that trait and benefit from her in that way. But it's tough to get her to make the attacks because of the fact she's such a soft figure, and you're going to have to keep her back. And so, like Pedro mentioned, you're looking for alternate ways of doing that, like with the penguin and making the free attacks on the penguin. So I'm in a weird place with her. I just think that there's potentially something there, and definitely because of her keywords.
Yeah, I feel like Cosmic is weird right now because there's going to be so much to play with her because of that, because of this set. But then there's likely to be something that's just better. So I feel like she never really gets a place where there's just so many other things with the same keywords. Like there's always a lot of Avenger stuff. Animals, a decent generic keyword. Cosmic is exploding right now. So I think there are some things that help, like Beta Ray Bill can really help set up for some attacks, and Trelane also has Cosmic to actually set those dice up. But yeah, I feel like you're investing a lot for something that's not just reliable enough, unfortunately. Although I guess she probably sees the most play in ROC Age, where you can still use her ID card. I don't know, maybe you give her a way of getting charged, like the Book of the Skull for 14 attack, 6 movement charge. Yeah, that could be good.
Like Pedro said, it's a niche team figure. Yeah. There are ways that you could potentially get her on there, but it's a very niche team, and it may not be the direction you want to go because you're limiting.
Get a Hela, get a lot of bugs around her for when she hits that stop. You know, it's you can make it work. It's gonna be a folk niche team, but you might. Again, stop with many bugs help. Get a Treebles there, Hela, whatever.
Exactly, animal team, the Tribbles.
I don't know. I just feel like it's not reliable because Shredders just don't care about Mastermind. They're going to be so common. I don't know. I'm hoping that they eventually either, I don't know, maybe watch list the Shredders or rule changes, maybe with the 2018 updates. You know, I don't know. But
yeah, I hate Shredders.
Yeah, they're handing out so much Mastermind, or more Mastermind than they used to these days, but there's just such a ridiculous hard counter. Like that, the Con Joker as well starts with Mastermind, but it just doesn't matter anymore. But regardless, we'll move on onto the next set of previews, starting off with Star Fox, who's a rare with the Avengers and Eternal keywords, so he is an option to give Unimind Force Blast, which isn't bad. And I guess Perplex, because he can do Perplex. His +2 is on top of normal Perplex, right? Because he just gets to use Perplex multiple times in a turn. I don't know. He's Eternal keywords. He's automatically just relevant there, theoretically. He has the Avengers Infinity trait, which we've seen before, which is when he attacks only characters of 100 points or more, he can either get an attack or damage +1. So that will help with hitting and whatnot, especially because in this set's environment, you're probably seeing a lot of characters that point value. And then he has another trait with Mind Control, and when he uses it after resolutions, give a hit character a pheromone token, removing it from anywhere else. And then a character with a pheromone token can't make an attack unless it began that turn with no action tokens. And when a character with a pheromone token is attacked, remove the pheromone token. He also starts off with a special damage power, which is Perplex, but only to negatively modify a combat value. Mike?
I'll say this. If he had a range value, I might have actually someday played him. That's really all I can.
All that needs to be said about the figure.
If he had a range value, I could see me potentially play him at some point in time. I mean, how are you going to get these pheromone tokens on somebody? A 9 attack and no range for this mind control. So I really got to do a close combat mind control with this Super, super soft figure. I guess someone at WizKids is not a fan of Star Fox.
Yeah.
Pedro.
I think that the only use you can get out of him is psychological. Try to tilt your opponent into thinking why wasting brain energy into why did you put this guy on your team? There's got to be a shenanigans there. I'm not seeing it.
This is a Tom figure. This is a Tom figure because this is what Tom does. He plays a figure like this. And you're like, why the hell is he playing this figure? He did
Don't attack him. Stay away from him. Leave him aside. Focus on the rest of the team.
He did that with Flatman against me. I couldn't even understand what the hell the figure was doing. He owned me with that. So yeah, here we go. He's a Tom figure. And I mean that with mad love and respect, Tom. For real.
Oh, Tom. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, we have a comment quick on the chat that it's minimum range of mind control being 4. How do you interact? Does a 0 range still has the rule that 0 ranges forces ranges not to take place?
I don't remember what they did because they had to change the minimum rules because it was a bit weird. Like if you had 0 movement sidestep, you couldn't use it. Like I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they're restricted to 2 stats. I think it's movement and range, maybe. And when it says it's 0, it's 0, and that's over. But I don't remember.
But then why would mind control have a minimum range of 4? Like nobody has a 2 range with mind control. I don't think I've ever seen. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing any figures with a 2 or 3 range mind control. It's possible they exist, but who knows? Either way, that doesn't really save him. Moving on to Quasar Chase, Avengers Shield Cosmic, keywords 050, unique power cosmic team ability, same cosmic entity trait as a lot of the other characters we've seen in this set. Pretty cool little sculpt, although I'm not a big fan of the aesthetics of the weird half and half kind of thing, but that's not important. His virtue of life trait is he gets to use flurry as well. And then when he rolls 6 this turn, a critical miss 2 ones is not a critical miss. Whenever a friendly character critically hits, increase the damage dealt by 2 instead of 1. That seems pretty decent considering that there is like a bunch of objects that up the chances of critically hitting. Like Yarnbjorn makes it like a 9 through 11, so seems pretty decent. And then, I mean, he starts with his lowest attack value is a 10. So if he's rolling a 6, he's just not missing, almost certainly. So in addition to just hitting your attacks, you get the cool effects, although they are very situational. But still, and then he has the same stop mastermind as the other characters, and then a special damage power, which is free. Place adjacent a friendly character that can use the power cosmic team ability that has not been given an action this turn. And then that character can't be given actions until your next turn. So it's not really shenanigan-y because they can't have been given or taken action after you place them. But still, you can reposition your characters. You can like send someone really far out and yo-yo them back or something. Or no, you can't because they can't have done anything. I don't know. But otherwise, I think the dial's okay. The values are fine. He's 100 points, so he can like call stuff in, I guess. I don't see my 100-point character using TK, and I'm also not a big fan of leadership when it is not on the top dial because it's hard to position for when you take the damage. Nor am I a fan of single target incapacitate, but he does. I mean, that damage power is kind of just notable. I mean, you never know with all the characters in this set that are going to have power cosmic. Yeah, you never know what could be good with him. Pedro, what are your thoughts on this Quasar?
I like him. Again, I can think of many niche uses for him. He can maybe TK the Mjolnir below Mr.'s death. Then the next round he walks 12. You know, maybe you can give him a symbiote so he can stay close to someone, hold them with plasticity, free call Mr.'s death. Next round, hit him. Or you can make him do the same thing with Champion Pool. Finally, we have someone to move Champion Pool effectively across the board. But again, it's very specific. I think he definitely deserves a second special power defense. Shape change is not a defense power, but count as defensive. Would be very useful for him. Again, symbiote might, to me, seems like the perfect marriage there to keep someone in place while he brings whoever else that can attack when he does. I think there's some usage, and 12 attack to 3 damage, not too bad. Of course, there's no move and attack there, and I agree with you. The leadership comes late in the dial, which is less ideal. But but Flurry is always great. I love his trait that for the critical misses, a pity that you need to roll 6 for it to go into place, which is something that I hardly do, especially if I need it. But it's still good in the very rare chance one shows up. I like him. It's not, I don't think it's like you said, a staple is going to be in every team, but you might get some creative uses out of him. And it's 100 points. I think it's decently costed for everything he brings to the table. Although no reducers will make him a little fragile for a heavy hitter.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, Pedro definitely nailed all the points on that. I look at this figure, I see the 100 points, and puts me in conflict because I see the TK, which makes him feel more like a support piece, but I want to activate this trait of his, so I need to be getting him in there for attacking. But then an 18 with Super Sense's defense, that's soft. He does have a stop click, 2 stop clicks, so you can't take him right out. And in fact, having the 2 stop clicks lined up means you've got the second chance of them. The leadership is odd to me. It's always weird when I see leadership that's not top dial or even second place on the dial. But man, I can't help but just, that trait just feels like a carrot being dangled in front of me. It's like I want to find a way to have this guy Flurry, because Flurry is exciting. I mean, that's 2 attacks rolling 2 dice each time. That's 4 different dice that anywhere in there, a 6 comes up.
Not counting prob.
Yeah, not counting prob, Golden Age, I definitely want to play him with Mitzelplick and see if I can prevent my team from crit missing, And like you mentioned, get an object on there that increases my crit hitting chances. All that's could be pretty good. But yeah, he's takes a lot of finagling. You can't just put him easily on a team. He's not a just plug and play type figure at all, but there's some interesting potential there. The 100 points makes me put him sort of to the side. He's like a tier B for me. Someone like I'd love to make something interesting with, but I don't think he's going to be running crazy in the meta anytime soon.
Definitely want to, for Golden Age, keyword shenanigans, him and Longshot together to get some really good damage going with Longshot.
Yeah, critting on everything.
And then the that one object, the Bladed Hammer, that gives out tokens when you crit hit on Longshot. So that's purely casual, though. I mean, technically playable in ROC Age, but that's never going to actually happen. It'll be fun, though. Our last preview that actually came out on Friday, but nobody saw it until today, is the Tony Stark's car. So Stark Industries and vehicle keywords. It's another rare. Pilot ability for Iron Man or Tony Stark, which gives shape change. But we haven't seen a Tony Stark in quite a while, so I'm kind of confused as to that happening now, although I guess there's plenty of options to see what happens there with future Tony Starks. And then another trait where when an attack misses Tony Stark's car, roll d6 and then 5 to 6, remove an action token. It has a special defense power, which is a stop click. When this click is revealed, KO Tony Stark's car, but leaving it at squares, roll d6, turn it to the blue click number equal to the result, and it is now special terrain, which we'll go over in a second. We saw some more mechanic on the Dune Buggy vehicle from the Scott Porter videos. It seems like if these vehicles have a special terrain, you get to stop and then turn it into that as well, which is some pretty cool utility and can really mess with an opponent's plans depending on what they do. And then it has a damage power, which it starts off with, which is when it carries one or more characters during a costed action. After resolutions, roll d6 on a 5 to 6. One carried character may be given a costed action this turn, which is really good. But I'm just wondering if it has passenger 1, how is it carrying more than one?
More than one character.
I guess that's more a future-proofing kind of thing. Either way, has a couple different point values, 175 or 10. 10 is just the special terrain. It's, it's got decent enough stats, decently long dial because it is a vehicle. And then the special terrain is usual rules. Map bonus is the same as any other one, but doesn't have an associated map. It's just if it can't be placed, you get the map bonus. And then it's hindering for line of fire purposes, and it looks like it's a 2x. I mean, yeah, all of them are 2x2s. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's blocking terrain for movement adjacency, hindering for line of fire, same as the jet. So that can really, in the middle of the game, that can really mess with stuff. And then characters in adjacent squares modify their defense by an additional +1 when targeted by range attacks. If the line of fire drawn to them crosses the square of Tony Stark's car, which is the same as a bunch of other ones. When a non-adjacent character misses on a line of fire that misses the car, click it one time. That's pretty usual. Puts KO, generate a heavy object in each square to occupy, blah, blah, blah. And then the actual thing is adjacent friendly characters can use energy shield. And then in addition, at the beginning of your turn, you may place the special terrain into an adjacent square. And then if you do, at the end of your turn, roll d6. If the result is equal to or less than the displayed number, KO the special terrain. Or if not, turn it to the blue click number equal to the result. So that's kind of very, very, very situational. But you never know if you really want to move it, maybe produce some heavy objects. I think there's some potential here, especially with the right pilot. Running shot's good. All that stuff is good. I like the mechanic of getting special terrain out of your vehicle when it explodes. But Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, I will say this for it. I'll say two things about it. One, in the ROC age, I could see this thing being played a whole bunch. I think with Stark Industries keyword in there, and there's a lot of stuff I can think of from the Iron Man set, the last Iron Man set that we had, that I could see being paired up with this to make this a very useful and effective vehicle. I'm personally not a fan of vehicles in general, so I usually pass them by. So I would probably continue to pass this by, but I can see lots and lots of potential for it in ROC Age with that set. I do also want to point out though that that's a +4 to your defense against ranged attacks when you're adjacent to this thing, because it's hindering terrain for line of fire through it. It says friendly adjacent characters get a +1 to their defense when adjacent to it. And then on top of that, it's giving you energy shield deflection when it's a special object. So that's +4 against ranged attacks. That's not so bad for 10 points, right? It's 10-point special terrain. So if you're sitting there and you're got 10 points left over and you've got a team that wants to hole up in a certain position and ignores hindering themselves, that's pretty darn good, a +4. So I think there's something to be said about that. The rest of it as an actual 100-point or 75-point vehicle, meh. I mean, 11 attack, 4 damage on a running shot isn't so bad. I would have to see other stuff in the set to even see if there's a Tony Stark or an Iron Man that's going to really work with this. You know what I mean? So I'd sort of have to reserve any of my other judgment of it as a vehicle in play. But special terrain, definitely lots of potential there, man. +4. I can't sneeze at the number game, right?
I do wish, looking at it now, that it was just one more click, so it would synergize a little better with Peace Machine. So you would have, as it is with Peace Machine, you take 1, 2, 3 hits, gets you exactly onto that last click. If it had one more click,
only 2 hits.
Yeah. But Pedro, how do you feel about the car?
I think Mike nailed it. I think it's a special terrain. He has a lot more potential. I don't discard the use of a vehicle, but again, I'm not a big fan. It's either hoping for a Tony Stark, there's a support piece which would justify using the stats on the car, and hopefully get something useful off of it. Maybe if you're lucky and it makes a lot of sense, maybe not to break team, but again, with those keywords, it's going to be more complicated. It would be awesome to deliver one of the Quasar or Tigers that, if you roll the 6 and get your flurry going. But again, if you want to try this technique, you're probably better off spending 55 on Green Lantern than 75 on the vehicle, unless some crazy synergy shows up down the road. So as a vehicle, fine, a lot of fun, but as a special terrain, it's super cool. And I was joking around with the Quasar champion pool. You give Quasar the symbiote and you still have points to have the car. You get champion pool with the combat reflex combat panel and then bring the car along for energy shield deflection. You're going to have a very high defense, unoutwittable champion pool, to deal with. I think it's not going to be meta, but it's going to be quite fun and quite strong. It's definitely far from casual. So you can have some shenanigans and have a that portable energy shield deflection dispenser that blocks a 2x2 square is not bad. In Wizkid's office or in the underground, it can be a very good piece to prevent, to guide where you want your opponent to come from. Of course, you need to be a little bit lucky on the d6 because you roll a 6, you're going to have a hard time repositioning it again. But I think that's potential for 10 points only. If your team doesn't need a boxing ring, clearly this guy might be a very viable option.
Yeah, I do like the fact that it's a 2x2 instead of a 2x4, so you can hole up maps a little bit easier and not like mess with terrain as much as the jet, or the invisible jet, or the merc jet. Although it is a little, being double the points of any other special terrain is weird. But I do think it is that good. And is, I guess, slightly more attainable than most other special terrains. So that's pretty cool. So that's it for the regular previews. We have some Scott Porter ones from the videos, but nothing really super notable, I don't think, outside of the one Retaliator that gave tokens and can kind of reposition. He was okay, but nothing super crazy, awesome, notable yet. Well, there were some cool casual pieces like the Nova or the Space Knight Agent Venom.
Yeah, I think Nova might be something there. It's a lot of points, but
yeah, he was exciting. I'm excited to look at Nova in person.
I'm hoping and guessing that he's friendly to himself as usual. Therefore, he has Nova Corps, and therefore he has Protect Outwit on its own.
Yep.
And you hypersonic for 6 squares at least, and you have energy shield deflection, and there's a lot of stuff going on there.
What was he, 150?
Yeah, it was 150.
That's many points.
Yeah,
it's a lot of points, but
he's also a Guardian of the Galaxy, right? So you put him with Cosmo, and you still now we only need 80 good points of Guardian of the Galaxy to have everybody protected Outwit.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for news. I guess we could do weeks in review now that I've remembered that that's a thing we do. And after that, go into questions, and then that's pretty much it. Not really any major results this week, like one online win a map or something, or the online Super Q, which was, I don't have the results, but it was PJ and Lane in the top 2, so nothing really weird notable there. But Pedro, did you get to play any clicks this week?
Yeah, I'm now only practicing. Which is hard to do. We're gonna have. I think I've said it already, but Wizkid's confirmed it's official to have a nationals here in Brazil with full pricing and support. So that's gonna be awesome. You're all invited, by the way. I still have some few rooms for people to crash in.
I wonder who's.
You should have dibs, but be quick. I already have some people asking. No joke. You're all invited, but so we're practicing. We're trying to see what's going on. Many things. I think my personal opinion is that the meta is getting healthier and healthier. Shredders are still there, but I don't think they are unbeatable. I don't think they are a problem, although they are boring to handle. But they need to be watched. They need to be considered when you're making a team. But I think it's healthy. And like we said, pogs, tent poles, some figures that are great against one, not the other. Hard to find the one that's be all against all figures. So I think that's the more things you can throw in rock, paper, and scissors, like lizards, pogs, and what else, the tougher it is to predict what you're gonna find, and the funnier it is to see the matchups. So trying to practice for all that and factoring something, at least a basis of a team to work around in terms of style. Do we still go for overdrive and SamCap? Is this still a thing? Is it not? Professor X being called right across the map, irrespective of barriers and stuff, to get people moving from off of them. All these are things to factor in that are really, really interesting, and it's a very healthy and crazy time to just brainstorm why you don't see things coming, or how, or at least be ready with what you have so far, so it's easier to factor in these new things coming than trying to take a holistic view at everything there is available once Batman the animated series come out, and trying to make a, the more you digest slowly, the better it is for you to incorporate the new concepts and the new pieces, as opposed to let's lay them all out on the table and find out what synergizes.
Mike, what was your weekend clicks like this week?
Well, I did get to finally play on a Thursday night event. I wrapped up on a film that I was working on, which is why I was gone for all those weeks. I wrapped up on it last week, thank God. It was a nightmare. I'm so glad to be free from it. So I got to play at 401 on Thursday night, and it was 400 points. It was listed as kind of like a sort of a casual, asking people, just bring lighter stuff. So I just did a 4-figure, 400-point team of Age of Apocalypse chase figures, almost all of. So I did the Jean Grey at full points. I did the Iceman at full points. I did Angel, and I played the Shadow Cat prize that I won for at the WKO.
Nice.
And yeah, it's exactly 400 points. Man, the team plays really well together. Angel really is the backup taxi for Shadowcat to always make sure that she is next to all three of them. Jean Grey and Iceman are now getting a +1 to their attack and defense, giving them 12 attacks and 19 defenses, which is great. They played really well together. It was I gotta say, I'm loving as these sets come out from WizKids in the past year. I love the synergy of theme teams and how much they've promoted that. I've always loved theme, as we know. And so I'm just really loving how you make a theme team nowadays, and all of a sudden you find that these teams just really gel together and really play well together. So I was a fun team. I wish I could remember all the teams I played against. Of course, I remember my last game against Jay, because he played a crazy JSA team, and with like 9 figures, I think you had.
9 JSA figures, and then the Superman action figure for leadership, because it doesn't break theme anymore.
Yeah. So, and of course, Jay being thematic, he went with the JSA map. Basically, I got up on top of the boat and tried picking off people. Occasionally, I'd become giant with Iceman and try picking off people. I went for his Dr. Fate early on, not so much because I actually wanted to get rid of Dr. Fate, but I was trying to move around, to get into position to take out the Wonder Woman, because that 40-point Wonder Woman that allows his whole JSA team to be JSA without next to each other. Yeah, that was a large factor in Jay's team being as effective as it was, so I knew I had to take her out early. I did score some points early, but then Jay really started to swarm me with the numbers. It came down to last action, and then we realized afterwards that Jay actually hit, not missed, because he had an ATA on some of his figures, which gave the +1 attack when they're attacking somebody double points. So he had Adam attacking Shadowcat right at the end. So he actually should have won the game, but Jay was cool and didn't really so much care about the win there. So we just sort of left it. So I managed to go 3-0 with that team, and picked up a cool Mr. Sinister, which I like Mr. Sinister, so that's great. And I've already made a ton of X-Men teams with him on it, and it was fun. Sadly, yesterday, I couldn't make it out. There was a crazy ice storm in Toronto, and I was going to drive, and I couldn't. The roads were just messy, which is too bad because the event was a 600-point game, and the prime rule was suspended for it. So I'll just tell you what my team was real quickly, because I think it would have been a lot of fun. It was the Professor. Well, wait, sorry, no, that's not the one. I gotta look it up again. Oh yeah, so I did the Sunfire Prime from Uncanny X-Men, the Phoenix Prime from Uncanny X-Men, the Moira Prime from this set, Lilla and Hellion, and then the Mr. Sinister. Oh no, wait, yeah, the Mr. Sinister that I just won the other day, like I mentioned. So I thought that would have been a fun little team. Two big figures with stop clicks, carry everybody up, multiple TK, multiple regen. Lots of perplexing. So I thought it would have been a lot of fun. Sadly, it didn't make it out, but I heard a lot of other people did. So I'm sure Jay will be able to tell us about that.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff in last week. I did some play testing for post rotation with Emily one day and Devin another day. And Emily's current team that she's basically playing now is just so much better post rotation. Just Sam Cap is probably just the number one figure after rotation. And Thursday, I played 9-character JSA. I'm trying to remember what was it. It was 4 fly because it's very action efficient. So I played 4 flyers: Dr. Fate, Spectre, Green Lantern, Hawkman, and then Atom, Sand, Wonder Woman, and someone else, and then another one. It was a 9-character team and 400 points. It was pretty dumb. I didn't lose map roll at all that day. I know I played against Devin at one point and Mike. I'm just trying to remember my first game. Maybe it was a bye. I don't remember. But I went 2-1.
Your first game was Kevin.
Oh yeah, it was Kevin. Kevin actually showed up for once because I picked him up in my car, and he played Ecstatics with Condupe, which was fun. And I barely managed to get a win there because I was just not hitting those attack rolls. And he had a lot of X-Men team healing, and Dupe is hard to kill, and he was awesome. And that was that day. Sunday, I brought 2 teams, both of which there was one Justice League one, which I ended up playing all 2 of my games because one of the rounds was a bye because I was judging that day. It was Captain Atom, Night Lantern, the Fast Forces 50-point Oracle, Shifting Focus Batman, Casey Green Lantern at lower, and I feel like that was it. And then and Flash God of Death. And I amalgamated Mistress Death onto Flash God, which made sense to me, which gave him either shape change to go with his super senses to start, or super senses on top of his impervious on his later dial. That was good. And at one point, I actually got to play against the Apocalypse team and actually have him kill a Darkseid, which was pretty cool and thematic. That was really dumb that anybody actually showed up to that event because we had the ridiculous ice storm. And the day before that, I went to the Comic Warehouse and played a couple games with Spider-Verse stuff. So you have to go Old Man Spider, the Spider-Man, and Spider-Punk to start. And then I also filled it in with Frogman, the newer Scarlet Spider, Mary Jane, and Black Cat from Deadpool, because she's basically the only Spider-Man character with a good copyable team ability with Defenders. I played against Aiden with Wonders of the World. A guy's name I can't remember, I don't think I met before, who's playing Alpha Flight, which was hilarious and fun to see these days. And Patrick Chow played Apocalypse. So I played against Apocalypse 2 days in a row. He had Superman God of Strength with the utility belt, and he also picked up the Mjolnir equipment later, Steppenwolf, and then the Mastermind Parademon, and then the 2 different Parademons from Trinity War. It was pretty brutal, but he didn't have the best utility belt roll, so he wasn't on pluses the whole time. I killed Steppenwolf pretty early, got rid of the Mastermind Parademon, and then it just went from there. That was pretty much it with a lot of HeroClix this week. It was fun to finally get that no prime limitation game going, because we were supposed to do it a while ago, but then it didn't happen for some reason. I think I was traveling or something, but it was fun to finally get that. Devin, I think, played a 4 primes on his team with the Hellfire Club because they have so many right now for some reason. But it was great. So that being said, that's pretty much it for relevant content before questions. But I will open it up to you two and see if you guys have anything you want to discuss specifically. Anybody?
Nope. On my side, I think we covered it all. Still excited to see what Scott will bring. You know, and it's gonna be some next show is gonna be pretty fun, filled with previews. But I'm like it's starting to slightly grow on me. I didn't know where the chases are going. I think there's some stop mastermind that's something there that not being able to be, you know, mastermind is great when you can only be the target of a single attack, right? I think there's a very good synergy on the trait and mastermind. I think that this set might surprise still it's picking up. It's starting low, but it's starting steady, and I think that, you know, they have a big chance if with Nova Corps and Guardian of the Galaxies and Animal Cosmic keywords to do them justice, and let's hope they do. I mean, the richness of the set could be very good, and if they've done some effort, I think Mike was very fortunate in hitting the key where it seems like finally someone is looking through the sets and making things synergize. So there are, you know, like we discussed many shows ago, you guys discussed the shifting focus, lasting over a set, other mechanics that complement each other. I think that that's great. That shows value, and that shows, you know, you actually could buy a couple bricks from every set because there we will find some cool stuff to interact between them. I think that increased the longevity and the interest of people on the set. So let's hope they keep it up, steady and going up, because this is a fun set.
Yeah, I think we're here's my tab. I think we're still waiting on that really mind-blowing piece from the set. Like everything's solid and playable. It's just nothing that just shifts the whole game up just yet. But I feel like with the abstracts and all the ridiculous level cosmic entities, like we're going to see something that just breaks.
Living Tribunal's not out yet.
Yeah,
right. Infinity might likely do something as well. So the big guns are not out yet.
But I gotta say, WizKids has made me surprisingly happy in the past couple of sets. I've been very happy with Harley Quinn and the X-Men set. I like the direction that they're implying with the point value of figures and the dial balance and the synergy between figures, especially thematically and keyword-wise. I think there's so much potential going on in the game, and Pedro touched on it earlier that I think we're seeing an expansion of the core of the meta right now, that as these sets are coming out, there are things coming out in each of them, and people are starting to build around those teams. You know, I think people are a little scared with how Unimind came on the scene and kind of blew so much other stuff out of the way. But then each set that's coming out now, I'm seeing people build whole new directions and whole new team synergies. And in some cases, they're taking a piece of something old and they're bringing it over still and utilizing it. I think that's really exciting. So I'm in a good place with this. And, you know, there is a lot left still to come in this Avengers set, but if it's anything, anything like the last two sets, I'm actually pretty excited.
So that being said, it looks like we're light on the questions today, but we will go through all of them, starting with Facebook and then moving on to YouTube after. So if you do have a question, please do put that up now on either Facebook or YouTube, and we will get to it. And if you're posting it on the live chat, post all caps question in front of it so I can actually see it while I'm browsing through all the comments. Facebook, we have the first question is Mike Backley, who says, "Hello, MetaLab. I was listening to the Dial H or HeroClix podcast today, and they had an interesting question come up, so I figured I'd ask it here to see what you all thought. What set that has been made would you want WizKids to remake? Could be anything from Heroclix, Street Fighter, Pacific Rim, What If, Teen Titans, or whatever. I'd go with 2099, as those figures are so old that they're unplayable." Mike?
I have to say What If, because that set was actually a huge disappointment for me. The ridiculous amount of sculpt reuse, I really feel like they missed the ball on so many potential characters. I've always loved the What If comics over the years, ever since I was a young kid. I was really let down by that set. It's not to say that there wasn't some figures in the set that were interesting and usable. Obviously, Goblin King was used a lot, but that set, it just really let me down with what I thought we were going to get out of it potential wise. So that would be what I'd say.
Pedro?
Can I split the answer in two super quick ones? I think
Sure.
thematically, I would love to see Web of Spider-Man. Those Superior Foes is still, it's rotating out. So I love the choice of characters there a little bit better. I don't think the mathematically or meta-wise it suffered that much. I think it was half decent. But to my second part of the question, I would love to see Teen Titans properly done in terms of numbers. I think it was a set with cool characters and awful powers. I think it deserved a revisit, and they could have made so much out of that set. But that's just me.
I was thinking about on the note of What If, about how much I still like the a lot of characters from both 10th sets, specifically DC. I mean, I don't think we have a better Oracle still. The Black Lanterns are cool. I like the 16 Movement Flash. And a bunch of other characters that we got that are still playable, like that common Batman. I mean, Jason played it competitively for a while, but even now, I would still totally play that piece and a lot of pieces from that set. Same with Marvel. Like, I would still, if I'm reaching for a Green Goblin, it's hard to grab one that just isn't that one. So I feel like, I mean, they are doing a lot of throwbacks these days. Like, we had all the Golden Age throwbacks in 15th, or I guess Elseworlds What If kind of thing, and we had like that Chase Loki who had the Fast Forces Scarlet Witch doll and whatnot. I feel like if we got a throwback anniversary set kind of closer to those, like, yeah, you have the older kind of dials, but the sculpts were all really good. And I feel like all the resculpts in What If did not help the case, considering some of the dials and some of the stuff that we didn't get, unfortunately. So kind of Elseworlds What If as well, but with a nod to the 10th, I guess you could say. We also have Chris Stockhouse, and the stamp is not right with me right this second, unfortunately, but it is a thing that is in the house somewhere. He asks, I had fun playing in the online rock event Saturday. Has the Metal Lab tried out Roll20, Discord, whatever, to play a Clixed game? Anything stopping you? I figured it out in probably 20 minutes after talking and watching someone else manipulate the board. So since we hardly get to play against each other, let's get some games in online Metal Lab. Talk to you soon. Yeah, I've actually played. I play tested there a bunch. I thought about doing the Super Q, but it wouldn't really there wouldn't really be an advantage for me because I already have 200 points. I have the map, so it wasn't really necessarily the best use of time at that particular time. But who knows with later events, if I don't happen to have the rock map or whatever. Pedro, have you?
Yeah. Oh, to me, it's a matter of survival, right? Especially to play with the guys that are outside of Brazil, which is 98% of the population that plays clicks. I think it's work. I think it's super practical. But I think PJ made a post about it in one of the threads, in a different thread. But it's, if you play this game, you likely, at the very least, enjoy the figures and you enjoy the social aspect of engaging with another human being in front of you and having conversations and the whole aspect of the thing. So it doesn't come close to that. But if you enjoy the mechanics of it, the challenge, and it's but if you have passion for the game, it's just another way to represent the game. So whatever, if you want to train it, you would train with proxies, you would train with whatever, just another way to proxy the table. It's very effective. It does, in practical terms, it looks like a 8-bit poorly done bad Nintendo game, but it does the job amazingly because it's accurate. The rolling mechanism is perfect. Everything is traceable, and you can have a very clear view of the map. But it takes away from a lot of the board presence and the livelihood of the game. But again, for competitive, you're more interested in the tactics, in the engagement, and in the brain challenge. So it's not gonna hurt. It's very effective. It's simple, and once you learn how to set it up, and you have the help from the guys in the ROC Online, which is amazing. The support is ridiculously good, so it works like a charm. But it's a means to an end, and it simplifies the game and makes it viable for anyone to join in. I think that particular aspect of bringing more people in and making the game viable, it's commendable. But it will never beat the real thing.
Yeah, I think once you played at least one game, you definitely get used to it a lot quicker than you'd think. Mike, any thoughts on? I don't think you've played online before.
No, I haven't had the opportunity to. Unfortunately, work has been insane and the hours are insane. So there was just zero opportunity to do it. I'm always interested in having the opportunity to play more. And as Pedro mentioned, to be able to play against top level players and work on my game. As we know, practice makes your team better. So every opportunity to get to practice is a positive. And I still fully intend to try this thing out. So hopefully now that I'm between shows for the next couple of weeks, maybe I can find the time and make it happen.
Do we have any other Facebook questions? Tyler Mirren asks, just wanted to get your opinion with the recent unboxing and the spoilers we're seeing. The vehicles can be played as special terrain. Do you think that the terrain could become a more permanent need on teams or just a fun, sometimes helpful piece? And can you play more than one terrain per team? For the one terrain per team, it is a no. It is one special terrain per team. But given how we have so many 2x2s in this, I'm sure we're going to get a lot, or at least a fair amount of variety of special terrain effects. So, and given that we lose the only resource, you're going to have those points to play around with because you're not going to have the teleporter and your 6 ID cards regardless of how many characters you have. So I feel like you're going to have more points to play around with there. So I do feel like you could definitely see terrain becoming more of a presence in games, considering how powerful some of them are, like how we will have the boxing ring and no characters that can ignore the modifiers anymore. Like you can't call on a KCP to shoot through and ignore the modifier, way less outsiders, no Lex and Joker and whatnot. So I do feel like terrain will become more of a thing, especially because on the right map with, let's say, the Invisible Jet on the Wonder Woman Barn map, you can definitely really screw over an opposing overdrive, considering how common he's going to be post-rotation. But Mike, what do you think about special terrain? And I realized I didn't switch over from your face the whole time.
Well, I think with everything that comes along with WizKids, I think in general, when we see a new mechanic come and new figures, you're going to invariably see more usage of them. Like I think part of that is there's a certain thing about surprising your opponents with the newer stuff. It's always advantageous to try to utilize some of these figures and some of these new mechanics before anybody else does early on in a meta, because people are still getting used to it. You can surprise people with a lot of things. So sure, with this new set, we're going to see a bunch of special terrain. Obviously, with the way that they're doing the vehicles, allowing them to turn into special terrain, well, there's that many more options. So again, it only makes sense that if there's that many more options and this is a new thing, then sure, of course, we're going to see more of them in there. I'm always resistant to the vehicles. I wasn't a fan of them when they came along. I felt like they're kind of just a little bit too big for the map and a little awkward for the map. But like any other mechanic, you have to pay attention to it. You have to see what it brings to the game, how it affects the game, and examine whether or not it's the right tool to add into your toolbox, right? So it's a personal choice.
Pedro?
No, I agree completely with Mike. I think they found a clever way to turning some vehicles into terrain because it gives more longevity to the vehicles, or cater for people, guys who are not particular fan of vehicles, like Mike mentioned his. I'm also not a huge fan, but I can see some of the uses. I think first there's this clever way of giving more longevity to the pieces or more utility to the pieces. And second, I think that we always been discussed to a point that the Meta Lab had Tom's cartographer set, which hopefully will come back eventually. Map is super important in the game to the point that we're now seeing team being a bigger discussion. Everybody trashed, not everybody, but a lot of people trash teams and say now they're useless. I don't care, etc., etc. But as the rules set in, people say, you know what, 5 PCs if you're going for a store team is not too bad. TTPC is easier to use now. Winning the map makes a big difference, and special terrain is a way to influence the map even if you lose it. So how many people have I talked to that said, you know what, I have 5 points left, I might even drop an ID card just to have the boxing ring, at least I know I'll have the clear terrain where I need, and it's also give me -2 if they don't come in. So having the chance to decide the map is super important, and even a small influence for that amount of points is also decent. So in some cases, like the boxing ring is not destructible, so you're only giving up the points if you lose. So it's I think it's a mechanic that's theirs to take. I think it helps balance you losing map to some extent, and that might be to me it's a very clever. I hope they did it on purpose way of balancing the impact of map choice in the game.
It looks like all of our Facebook questions, so we're going to move on to YouTube. So if you want to get your questions in, it's pretty much the last second. Nolan Lake asks, post-rotation, which characters do you think gain the most and lose the most? For gain the most, I would almost certainly have to say Sam Cap is just the best because she can call in literally anything in the game. That's a call-in pretty much, except for like higher point options of ID cards she was already going to use. Like she can't call in the 100-point Chase Cyclops, but she can call in the 60-point one. But as for loses the most, I guess it's a tie between Green Arrow and Hawkeye losing their ID cards. Like I think they both still see play, but I just feel like that really messes with Hawkeye, being able to guaranteed call them across the map and whatnot and just shoot everything. Mike, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree actually with your two choices, but I'm going to add in a third one there. Definitely Sam Cap is huge post rotation. The +3 to movement. We've got overdrive, and now we've also got Lila being added into the game too. So you've got two different taxi options that are huge. So definitely you have to look at her and see the potential there. I think, and losing wise, yes, Green Arrow and Hawkeye lose out huge. Green Arrow especially because he is such a perfect silver bullet, kryptonite arrow, as it were, for so many big figures. To be able to just call him in and one shot kill them through all their defense powers is huge. I also, though, feel like Yakeem is taking a massive hit post-rotation, but more because of the loss of Supreme Intelligence and the loss of Possessors. So now you can't get that Yakeem loaded that works really well for so many people, where, you get the stealth and the willpower on him. And, he was already getting hurt with some of the rule changes and so forth. But I think that's a huge hit for him, losing the Possessor as another way of getting those defensive powers on those turns where you need to pick other stuff. So I think we're going to see a lot less Yakeem in the post-retirement environment.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was actually looking at him post-retirement. I had been looking at building with him, and I was at that point assuming that we wouldn't lose the DC Con ID cards, so calling in Dr. Fate would have been pretty good for the simpler time, enhancement and power, and the inspiration's really good. But just in addition, you just have a bunch of pieces that aren't quite 50 points, like the highest point one that's any good are all around 45. Like there's the 1 hour man that's 50, but he's pretty bad. So you're looking at a character that's too high to call in anything important. Like it's not like you're calling anything that's over 100 points post-rotation anyway. And then a bunch of other characters in the JSA that can't call in anything relevant, like they can't call in the Wolverine Headmaster and whatnot. So it's kind of a weird area where your tentpole He's probably attacking more than calling in, which isn't bad, but it's just you're losing a lot of ID card utility with those extra points that almost don't matter at that point, and then nobody else to really pick up the slack with some of the better, cheaper ID cards. I don't know, but I don't think he was going to be seeing too much play anyway. Pedro, what are your post-rotation thoughts?
Just to try to add something new, I completely agree with what you guys said. What I try to add in something new is first overdrive. Overdrive gains a lot. Nothing standing his way now anymore that's useful. Only Ajax and who else? I don't know. It's so overdrive will reign supreme for another year most likely. Except maybe Peep the Troll with some Battle Fury guys. The Blood Axe now will be carried like it never been before. But I think he's one. Another thing, I'll put the whole category, not waste much time on it, but I think stop clicks as a category will gain a lot because unless something up shows up, uh, now you need the green unless you're main teaming Green Arrow, so Devil Dinosaur definitely wins a lot if you're not seeing a Green Arrow in your main force. So those ones I think specifically Devil Dinosaur out of this category, it's a good representation, but stop clicks in general. Doomsday maybe we'll see Doomsday see play. Who knows? Hopefully, just for the fun of it. But I guess in terms of loss, you guys nailed it. I think it's the call-ins that suffer. One that's still gonna be great, especially in a Shredder's team, but one strategy that will likely, with what we have in terms of call-in to date, as the date of this show, is Peace Machine. One of the great things that we had was to have Peace Machine and then call in everybody that has Flurry on his card that could be called in and compensate for the 3 damage every time by overflowing your opponent. We don't have many, if at all, characters that you need Wolverine on the other side. You need Cyclops to have an X-Men attacked or damage to do this second attack. So it's harder to call in people with multi attacks, and therefore I think Peace Machine will lose a little bit. Will be still extremely useful for the game, especially on Shredder's teams. But again, the whole let's call many flurries and be done with it loses a bit of it as well, which is interesting to in my point of view in terms of not having super ultra. WizKids did a whole emphasis on not doing hypersonic with super strength and exploding everybody, carrying people, and having alpha strikes of 100 damage, but then leaving many calls in that still dish out the same amount of damage. You just shifted the big hitters somewhere else. So now it's a more balanced game where heavy hitters are heavy but not game deciding, might give your opponent a fighting chance. So I think those are to me overdrive and stop clicks as the winners. Peace Machine to a lesser extent, and all the other guys you mentioned as the losers.
Looks like we have our last question. Paul Waller asks, what are your go-tos under 25-point filler pieces? Mike?
Under 25.
Specifically says under 25.
Because that's a tough one. Then I don't have a Carnage. Sadly, I don't have a Carnage. I don't know. Under 25. If it was 25, I'd be saying Lilla right now because there's so much X-Men out there, and Lilla's fantastic. And you've already seen some hints of my Lilla and double all new Wolverine team. What? So many Jonathans. Oh God, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look. I gotta go to AC Realms right now.
I'm looking at it right now, and it's actually
Ape Batman.
Ape Batman. Go to Pedro. I'm going to AC Realms right now. Doing a search.
Those are easily my two: Carnage and Ape Batman. Outwit, 15 points, cheap outwit, doable. It's very. Those to me are the main feelers in terms of characters. Easy. Floor as well. Since PJ is not here, someone has to say Floor is amazing. Cosmic, 10 points. So there you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Jessica Jones to shut off all that stealth.
A Maridroid. A Maridroid, definitely.
Yeah, that was one of my picks.
Under 25 points. There you go.
Karen Page is not bad either, right? She's 15. Karen Page, depending on if you have an aggressive team.
20, but still.
Yep. Still fits.
Yeah, most retaliators are just good. It's hard to argue with Carnage, just ever. And Kite Man. Kite Man is
Kite
not
Man
to be
of
underestimated.
nice, brilliant. You won, Kite Man. Hell yeah, for sure.
Well, more pre-retirement. I like Kite Man more. While I can still enjoy some Joker Lex duo there.
I don't know though. I feel like with the Batman set, he'll probably have a lot more stuff to play with. That's just ridiculously good.
I do
Doug,
like Jessica Jones too for less than 25 points. I think that
the
Jessica
standard thugs
Jones
on
is
X-Men
quite
teams
useful.
are also decent, right? Should win you the map. If they are hit, you can still double attack with the other X-Men. It's not gonna win you the game, but might give you a very interesting advantage.
That being said, I think that's the last question. Yeah, it's the last of the questions.
Oh, Big Tony. Can I throw Big Tony in there too?
Yes,
Oh yeah,
nice.
one's gonna be
See?
Nighthawk.
Big Tony.
Nice, nice.
Big Tony.
Can't go wrong with that mesh tank top.
No.
So yeah, that looks like we're out of questions. So we will close with the ad read, and then it will be out relatively quickly. We're brought to you in part by HRealms.com, your one-stop source for everything HeroClix. Keep track of your collection in the unit section. Keep up with the conversation in the forums. Check out the shop and use the code MARRIED for 10% off your order and to support the channel. We're also sponsored by MajesticCCG.com. Check out their eBay store and their online store. And you can also check out the premium site, MajesticCCG.com/Apex-Insiders. They have lots of great articles from the great minds in the HeroClix. PJ is a regular contributor. I have articles sometimes. Other great minds in the game post articles there all the time, including Pat, Easton, Adam, Tiago, and many others. We're also supported by The ROC, which has their new website up at roc.ionsweight.com. If you want to host a ROC, they have a section for that. Check out their forum. Keep up with any ROC news there. Track all the podcasts in the section for that on the site. And if you want to, and they just announced their Judge Rewards program, so you'll need an account there for that, as well as for winning any ROC points now. So you definitely want to get an account there for all the stuff that they have. As we sign off on this week's Meta Lab, always remember that practice makes your team better. Have a good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Night. Night, everybody.